Hello and welcome to Breaking Bread with Rivaj Maharaj, where nothing is off the table. For today's episode, I wanted to talk about British and Australian air bases being struck in the UAE. So without further ado, let's get into it. I hope you can hear me because we've been experiencing a bit of decent weather here in the United Kingdom, so I thought I'll take advantage of the great outdoors and the little bit of sunshine that we tend to get every now and then, and try doing this episode from outside. So I hope it all goes well in terms of the audio. Now, there's some breaking news coming out of the UAE, and an article in the Express says Dubai News UAE base housing British troops struck after Iran missile barrage. The Iranian attacks launched since the beginning of the war have been branded brazen. Air defenses were reportedly activated once again over Dubai on Wednesday, hours after authorities carried out air interception operations to fend off suspected Iranian attacks. Fox News reporter Lucas Tomlinson wrote on X, UAE air defenses active over Dubai, reports of new possible attacks targeting the Gulf city home to many Britons come as UAE's Ministry of Defense said on March 18 to have intercepted 13 ballistic missiles and 27 drones originating from Iran. A statement from the MOD read, since the start of Iran's brazen attacks, UAE air defenses have intercepted 327 ballistic missiles, 15 cruise missiles, and 1,699 drones. Overnight, Dubai was rocked by more explosions, as was the wider UAE. One of the suspected Iranian attacks struck a military base housing British, US, and Australian troops, the Al Minhad Air Base. Anthony Albanese, the Australian Prime Minister, said the projectile caused minor damage to an accommodation block and a medical facility after a small fire. The blaze erupted after a missile hit on a road leading up to the base.
There was an Iranian projectile hit near that base. I can confirm that no Australian personnel were injured and everyone is absolutely safe at this point in time. There was minor damage to an accommodation block and a medical facility due to a small fire that was created as a result of that projectile hitting on a road leading up to that base.
Now, the reason I'm doing this particular video is basically to look at and to echo some sort of transparency.
But right now they've been decimated from every standpoint. And again, we've had great support from countries in the Middle East, great support, but we've had essentially no support from NATO. If you're going to allow countries that are sick and demented, and they are demented, to have nuclear weapons, everybody in the whole world should be very thankful. And I'm disappointed in NATO, very disappointed. I'm disappointed in a couple of other countries too.
Trump has hit out at NATO nations and other allies, including Australia, after they rejected his push for a coalition to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Live to Reid Butler in Los Angeles. Reid, he's made it clear he's not happy with the lack of support.
Jane, the message from the US President, the United States doesn't need your help anyway. Donald Trump unleashing on NATO today. He says he's particularly angry because the allies have privately, in some cases, expressed their support for the military action in the Middle East, but they're not putting their money where their mouths are. Here is Donald Trump earlier today.
So we helped them, and they didn't help us, and I think that's a very bad thing for NATO.
It was the United Kingdom copping most of the criticism in that media appearance earlier on today, but Australia has not been immune. Our country was included in a Truth Social post that the US President posted today. He wrote, because of the fact that we have had such military success, we no longer need or desire the NATO countries' assistance. We never did. Likewise, Japan, Australia or South Korea.
I'm certain that in the weeks and months that follow, there will be some pushback regarding these missile strikes, and it will be touted that they could possibly be American or Israeli fired missiles to adversely affect the British and the Australians. And the reason I say this is because of recent, Donald Trump has asked for the Australians as well as NATO nations as well as the European Union to become actively involved in policing the Hormuz Strait. Now we've seen severe pushback from all these countries mentioned and all these blocs mentioned. So it would, it would seem quite strange that hot on the heels of these defiant actions by these nations, their bases are suddenly being attacked. Now, in the interest of transparency, it could be that the Iranians have fired these rockets and missiles and drones. However, it could also be argued that this was to this was fired by the United States and Israel to entice these governments into coming to the assistance because now their military assets are being threatened. And, we don't know for sure, one way or another, who fired those missiles or if indeed, they were fired by the Iranians or the Israelis or the Americans. I'm just putting it out there because of, because in light of the events that have occurred overnight where the Australians and the EU and the British have come out saying that they are not going to support this war in Iran and to help patrol the Hormuz Strait. So, whilst this timing does seem suspicious, it's also not implausible or impossible that those missiles and drone attacks were launched by the Iranians. So things seem to be ramping up a fair bit in the Middle East, and I suspect it's only a matter of time before those Western nations that had declined support ultimately begin sending support to the region, because not only is it affecting them now, their military bases in the region, it's also affecting the economies back home. So I want to thank you for spending time with us. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Please remember to like, share and subscribe, as it helps us with the algorithm and it helps our channel to grow.